All right, so we're here with Heather the painter, and she's going to talk to us about her class in East Coast School so that you guys can make your decisions on who to take, because I know it's a tough decision right now. We have too many good instructors. So, Heather, I'm
Absolutely.
going to let you go ahead and talk about yourself and your class.
Awesome. Thanks, Anne. My name is Heather. I am a painter. I have been painting with Corel Painter for probably, goodness, 20 years now. Um, it's been a lot of years, but I started out as a traditional organic painter and between oils, pastels, acrylics, charcoal, mainly charcoal and oils, I think were my favorites. Um, I've found a way to kind of blend all of them together. And I love teaching how to bring all of them together with photographers. And so that's kind of what I'm teaching in East Coast School. So we're going to be working with acrylics and possibly charcoal if I can have enough left over from my homeschool group that I'm working with because they're using up all my charcoal right now. So we're going to be working with a lot of organic materials and how to create textures and brushes from scratch into digital painting. So that'll translate both into Corel as well as Photoshop. But we're really going to heavily focus on working with Corel Painter with those, as well as using them in textures. And it's not just texture overlays. So there are some really neat tricks that Corel introduced in, I believe it was Painter 2020. So it has completely changed the workflow in Painter and making things look so much more organic. It really speeds up your workflow and it breaks apart your brush work so you can go from that very, very smooth classical look to something more of the alla prima style that we're calling it as photographers, which would be more like the heavier brushwork, like John Singer Sargent or Everett Kinsler. So I'm going to teach everything between the classical to the very, very heavy brushwork so you can learn how to control your brushwork, learn how to control the tools, and learn how to use it to paint in the style that you want to present. And I think it really does start in the brushes that you're inputting it from the textures. So it's really going to be very customized to each student and finding their artistic voices as much as that's very cliche, but when you start out in actual physical paint and then take it all the way through that digital process, um it you get a really unique product that doesn't have that super digital signature or footprint that a lot of programs will have if you don't start out organic. So we're going to mix all the medias that way. Plus, we're going to have a gel day, which we have some canvases coming in from Mid South, and we're going to work with different acrylic gels, the clear gels, to learn how to both incorrectly and correctly apply them on top of canvases. So you can have that really beautiful, clear brush marks that a lot of labs offer. And I've had so many people come to me and ask, how do you apply them without ruining your canvas? Because there's a lot of tricks to it. um, I have trained with Golden. I've done a lot of research. I'm a research junkie. So I'm one of their artist educators, and I love working with their products, both with the acrylics and the oils, but I love using gels over top of prints. So we're going to be working with that one afternoon, long enough so it'll have dry time where people that are flying in can fly back with them. And it's just going to be 4 days of just intensive Corel Painter, mixed media, a little bit of Adobe Photoshop because we're going to be prepping and retouching a lot of images, but really customized to students where they want to go with it, whether it's very classical and clean, very realistic, to very heavy and chunky, or more of that broken up, hard edged look that you get with the alla prima style. So I'm taking kind of the 20 years of my painted background and just kind of applying it to the workshop. And I think we're going to get really messy one of those days. And Erin has been one of my dearest friends for I don't know how many decades now, and she knows all of my stuff very well. So we're very privileged to have her as a class assistant. She knows all of how I teach. So she's going to come in and with all of her experience, and she's such a joy in person if you've never met her. So it's going to be a phenomenal class. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm happy to answer any questions tonight. One of the biggest questions I'm going to go ahead and address before it's even asked is a lot of people have been asking, if I've never been in Corel Painter, can I take this course? And I would say yes. We are going to be starting in probably about 2 weeks, meeting up as a class online. And I have over 10 hours of pre-recorded video classes to get people caught up into Painter, into composition and design and backgrounds and brushes to kind of get you started. On top of that, I will work with people that are completely new with Painter, so you can get up to speed. But you gotta work with it up until the point that you're coming in with East Coast School. But if you have a background in either organic painting or you've worked with Adobe Photoshop before in painting, the transition is going to be really easy. So it's just going to be a little bit tweak and the tools and how they're a little different. But if you are brand new to Corel Painter, absolutely, I highly encourage you to check it out. I will get you started right away with materials and training, and then we'll meet after next week as a group. But otherwise, I am very much looking forward to working with people, and I am open to any questions. And hopefully, my dog over here is not going to be barking or snoring too loudly, that she is right next to me.
That's funny. So if you guys have a question, go ahead and type it into the chat. And if it's a long question, you can just type in there, unmute me, and I'll unmute you and you can talk to Heather. So does anybody have any questions?
And I should point out the focus of the subject work that we're going to be working with in the East Coast School is portraiture. So we are going to be working primarily with faces and backgrounds and hair. And if you can work on a face, you can paint anything.
Right. Yeah, and I would assume that if you do hair, that will transfer over to pets and animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And we'll do different types of fur, but for hair, curly, straight, all of
right.
the different types. Yeah.
Okay. And then the backgrounds, you said the backgrounds will be more of just like a portraiture painted background, no landscape type background for the people, right?
They will be anything
Okay.
between we're going to work on both realism and completely abstract, whatever kind of texture they want to
Okay.
work with. So you're going to get a wide variety of, if I have this situation, what do I do with it versus, one stop suits all. So we're going to have a wide variety of those.
Okay. Sally said, can someone take and understand the class even if they've had no intentions of learning Corel, but rather they want to try to apply Heather's teachings to Photoshop?
The cloning process is going to be really different between Painter and Photoshop. The design and color harmony and way that you would select brushes to work on a digital painting is all going to translate, but it kind of stops when you get to the brush building part because it's going to be completely different, and the actual cloning setup, because that's very different.
Okay.
So like I would say half of it would apply.
Right. But the other half would be strictly,
It's going to be very Photoshop specific because they're not so similar that they would be in lawsuits with each other. They
right.
were very, very different with their brush engine and the cloning setup.
But I
But
do know when I first took a Corel class, I was very nervous about it because I was all Photoshop. But after doing Corel and having a background in painting, I was like, oh, wait, this is so much better.
it'll make sense, especially if you've
Yeah,
had a background in painting.
it just does such a better job at reproducing that feeling and look of real painting.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Bobby has a question. She said, do we bring images to work on, or are we working
Yes.
on images you provide that we will all have the same piece to work on?
Excellent question. Yes and yes. The first day, maybe two, I'm gonna have some worksheets and images so everybody's kind of on the same page. The last day, maybe day and a half, I highly encourage you to bring your own images. I'm probably going to ask you to submit images for students if you have images you want to see demoed, to submit those if you don't mind the whole class working on them ahead of East Coast School. But yes, yes, and yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Does anybody else have any questions? Through and see. I know we had a couple of people that just jumped on, and I will be posting this video just for in case what you did miss. It'll be in the PPNC group, and if you don't belong to PPNC, it'll also be on our PPNC business page. So by the end of the evening, it'll be in there as well. So I didn't know if it's gonna be hard for probably a couple of them that just jumped on to ask questions. But please feel free if you just jumped on to ask questions. She may have already covered it,
That's
but
okay.
you can go ahead and ask the questions again, and she can respond since you may have missed some of it. So feel free to definitely ask questions, and you can either type it in or ask to be unmuted, and we can unmute you, and you can ask a question. So
Looking through chat here.
yep. And I
I
was
should
trying
have
to
had
think of
Shia do the interview tonight. She would have known all of my stuff. Be like, my
I
mom is
know
going to
she
teach
does know
this.
other stuff. I was trying to think of some other things, other questions I could ask you that would be relevant. Because I know I do remember we always prepped the images in Photoshop, right? You had a,
Yes.
yep. So there will be some Photoshop definitely being used
Yes.
before pulling it into Corel. So,
All of
and
the
for
texture
those,
work we're going to do is going to be in Photoshop as well.
yeah, and just to repeat for those that just got on, she did say that she will be starting up a group where we will all be together. I guess is it a Facebook group you're going to start up or
Um,
just
I'll do a Facebook group if we need it, but it will be it'll go out through my private Kajabi page.
that's no,
Um,
that's fine.
so
That's fine.
yeah.
And Heather said that she would for anybody that's not real familiar or not familiar at all with Corel, she would be having some pre-classes through there that you
Yes.
guys will be able to be brought up to speed so that you'll know what's going on by the time you get there because the tracing paper gets a little I still get confused because I don't use it enough right now. I haven't
Yeah.
been using it. So I'm taking the class so I can get some brush up and play again, start playing with it some
Yes.
more.
As long as people have Corel Painter 2021 or newer, I think we're on 2023 now, but
Yeah,
you'll be fine. Just
yeah, as long
nothing
as you
older than 21 because the brushes will not work with that I'm
right,
handing out.
right. Sally said, will she also be teaching how to create painted backgrounds?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. The
those are
textures will play heavily into
fun.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be fun. Well,
So
cool.
I definitely recommend bringing like a smock or some old shirts on the first day because the charcoal's going to be messy, the paint's going to be messy, and we're going to make a mess.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I need to get some drop cloths. Is that what you're saying to for the class?
Yeah, probably. I'll bring one too.
All right. Yeah, I have I do have a lot of like painter drop cloths, so I could bring those as well
Nice.
and some tarps. So we'll make sure we bring plenty of stuff to lay down on the I assume are we going to do it on the floor or what are we what are we doing?
Tables would be
Tables?
ideal. Let's
Okay,
not
so
ruin
so
our backs the first day.
need to get some plastics and yeah,
Yeah.
just want to
I
make
have
sure
a
we
ton
don't
of
get all
plastic
over.
rolls that I
Okay,
can bring. Yeah,
maybe I'll bring the drop cloths to just put underneath the table on the floor so we don't
that's a good
mess up the
idea.
carpet. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. That sounds like fun. All
Yeah.
right, we'll definitely want to bring smock. We need to provide our own smocks, all right? Everybody
Yes.
bring their own painting smocks or clothes they just don't care about.
Yes. Yep. We're gonna
All
look crazy the first day. So
right. That'll be fun. All right. We might need a picture of that. Uh, does anybody else have any questions? I know Barbie just got on here, so she probably missed a lot of it. You're welcome to ask any questions that even though you didn't get to see what's happening, you can ask any question you want. She may have already talked about it, but it doesn't matter. You can ask a question, she'll answer it. So just unmute yourself and ask or type it in the message chat place, whichever.
Yeah, I had problems logging in. Sorry, I'm a little late.
Oh,
Maybe
that's all right.
maybe just a couple of sentences overview because I hate to
okay,
take time that you've already covered.
that's
Oh, no
totally
problem.
fine. So we are going to be working in mixing or bridging the gap between organic media and Corel Painter. There's going to be some Photoshop in there. But we are going to be playing with both charcoals and acrylics in making custom textures, which also translates to custom brushes, and combining that with portrait painting. So the main emphasis is painting the actual portrait. So I'm going to be working with, faces, backgrounds, hair. I figured if you can learn to paint a face, you can paint anything. And this is going to be done in Corel Painter with both freehanding and cloning, and then learning how to use the program to customize. Got a dog complaining. The brushes so you can paint anywhere from classical realism that's very detailed to something that's more heavily painted like John Singer Sargent or broken up like an Alla Prima painting. So it's going to cover all the sections, background, the subject, how to make everything more cohesive and come together. So we're going to talk about color theory, composition and design, how to work with the tools, and then intuition is kind of the last layer to it. And then one of the days we're going to also talk about how to correctly and incorrectly apply acrylic, the clear acrylic gels over top of the actual printed canvas, so you get clear brush strokes and use those properly. So it's going to be a real intensive 4-day mixed media, but very customized to the students. So you have control over the tools and you know how to use them properly. So you can go ahead and take off with your own spin on them.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll give you the link to for this because it'll be on our YouTube page. So once this is done and uploaded, I'll give you the link too, and you can put it in your group page if you want to. That way, people can watch it in there too and kind of find out
Awesome.
a little more about the class. So yeah. Sally says, does anyone have any questions about East Coast School? Sally is our East Coast School chair this year.
Awesome.
So if does anybody have any questions about East Coast School in general, how it works, how this whole fun thing works? Has anybody been to East Coast School that's on here?
I want to
Trying to
go sneak in and
recognize.
take Tim Walden's class. He's amazing.
I know. I've had a few of his classes. He's been a great mentor. He's so good.
Yeah.
So oh, Jeremy Sutton. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
but yeah, East Coast School is 4 full days with your instructor, and then the evenings we have all kinds of fun activities going on that you can either participate in or you can go hang out at the bar and drink. Some people decide that's what they want to do instead of doing table talks or being in the model bays, photographing models and stuff. So we'll have all kinds of stuff going on.
Or
Or
sleep.
Sally says, or sleep.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that too. But it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun and we have lunch for you guys every day. So that's always great. And it's a good hotel. We've been there for a few years now and they always take good care of us. It's a lot of fun. But it's a nice intimate setting. We don't generally have a ton of people, maybe 70-ish students all together between all the classes. So it's a nice size of classroom. It's not overwhelming. There's not like a ton of people. I love Texas School. It's so much fun, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different beast. So if that's what you're looking for, we're definitely much smaller than that. Texas School is amazing, but we don't really have a trade show or anything like that. We do have a camera store that comes and they always bring stuff and they'll ask for a list of anything that you need to make sure they have what you want, but they're there for the whole 4 days and they'll clean your sensors for you for free. They just ask for a donation. So they're great. It's a lot of fun. I think that's pretty much it though. But you'll get to see all the instructors in the evening hours, so that's kind of cool too. Get to hang out with them. Tim will be doing some stuff in one of the photography bays. So if you're not taking his class, you'll still get to work with him, which is
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a plus with East Coast schools, even though you may only take one instructor, but you'll get access to the rest of them in the evening hours. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Kind of a cool deal. So, does anybody else have any questions? And if not, then I'm gonna let Heather go because sounds like she might have a dog that's wanting her attention. I know how they are. All right, well, if you guys are good to go and you don't have any more questions, I'm gonna let her go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Oh, yep. There goes the dog.
Yep, dog's ready. That was good. All right, well,
I know
thank you
that
so
one.
much, Heather. I can't wait
Thanks,
for your
Anne.
class. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, bye.